Welcome. Today we will revisit events that we once thought were thoroughly studied. The beginning of World War II and the revolution in aviation technology that was supposed to determine the outcome of the conflict. But what if all our ideas about the advantages and weaknesses of aircraft were based on false assessments? What if one of the key technologies intended to ensure dominance actually concealed its true capabilities? Did you know that on November 23, 1943, an American P-47D Beetle was shot down over France and captured by German forces? Why, in the first months after its appearance, did the Luftwaffe perceive it as a slow and unwieldy giant, unable to compete with German FW-190 and Bf-109? At the same time, German observers noted its powerful armament, armor, and ability to continue flying even after serious damage. Yet they did not understand what lay behind this strength. Why did these advantages remain hidden from German engineers? And how did underestimating American aviation capabilities influence Germany's strategy, while revolutionary progress was happening in the U.S. rear? The stakes were not only the outcome of a single battle or even the war, but a global technological edge that decided the fate of millions. This analysis is key to understanding why Germany was unable to catch up with the U.S. in technology, production, or logistics, despite its efforts and knowledge. In this video, we will reveal all these secrets, separate official chronicles from the real picture, and show who was truly orchestrating the war for air superiority. Are you ready to see the hidden mechanisms of technological dominance and understand how millions of details contributed to victory? Then let's begin. In early 1943, when the war was raging on all fronts, when Europe's fate hung in the balance, and strategy and tactics soared into the sky in an endless race of technology and pilot skill, the Luftwaffe was filled with uncertainty. German military engineers and tactical analysts looked at American aviation through the prism of their prejudices and preconceived notions of superiority. In their eyes, the American aircraft that had recently appeared over Europe, the P-47 Thunderbolt, seemed large, slow, and unwieldy. These initial assessments, based on early reports and limited observations, shaped the image of a machine that, in their view, could not compete with German Focke-Wulf FW-190 or Messerschmitt Bf-109, aircraft that had long become symbols of German strength. But behind these bright and confident evaluations lay a complex truth, which would soon overturn their understanding of American aviation capabilities. On November 7, 1943, in the skies over France, in the heart of occupied Europe, an American pilot named William Rooch shot down a German aircraft. His P-47D, nicknamed Beetle, was shot down by Germans and captured. At first glance, this case seemed to be an exception, a rare, insignificant episode. But it was precisely within its context that an entire era of misunderstandings and underestimation was hidden. German forces and reconnaissance units, having obtained this aircraft, began analyzing its design and characteristics. Initial reports prepared by the Luftwaffe in April and up to August of the same year regarded the Thunderbolt as a large, heavy, and sluggish aircraft. Its dimensions, powerful armament, and armor made it resemble a heavy bomber rather than a maneuverable and fast fighter. German pilots, accustomed to the speed and agility of their machines, quickly drew conclusions. The Thunderbolt lags in speed, especially at low and medium altitudes. In their eyes, it was clumsy, heavy, incapable of sharp maneuvers that are crucial in aerial combat. In the air, it appeared slow and bulky, which frankly diminished its combat prospects. However, despite this, the Germans could not overlook its strengths. They clearly saw its formidable armament, capable of destroying any German aircraft in seconds. Its armor, able to withstand even the heaviest bullets and shells, and its ability to continue flying even after sustaining serious damage, signs of a true workhorse that could be relied upon in any situation. Yet, even these obvious advantages seemed not to lead the Germans to a full understanding. They underestimated the technological potential of the Thunderbolt, especially its capabilities at high altitudes. Internal information about the turbocharger system, which allowed the aircraft to reach altitudes inaccessible to most German planes, remained hidden behind a veil of secrecy. German engineers and pilots did not know that this aircraft could quickly and efficiently manage its engine under extreme conditions, or that it possessed unique control systems, enabling it to reach altitudes where German aircraft still could not compete. This limited awareness, related to the technological complexity of the turbocharger system, played its role. The Germans could not grasp that the Thunderbolt was not just a heavy fighter, but a high-tech complex capable of exhibiting outstanding performance under certain conditions. At a time when German industry was already feeling the constraints, and its technological level lagged behind American standards, this was especially significant. Their limited production capabilities, lack of modern materials and technologies, and difficulties in adapting new systems made them blind to the advantages that might be hidden within the Thunderbolt's design. It was precisely these hidden capabilities, increased speed and efficiency at high altitudes, unique engine control systems, that remained a mystery to the Germans. Their observations, based on combat in the lower and middle layers of the atmosphere, did not allow them to understand the full potential of the American aircraft. They did not know that the Thunderbolt was capable of sharply changing its tactics, reaching heights where German fighters lost their advantages. In a situation where German industry faced restrictions and technology could not develop as quickly as desired, this underestimation became their weakness. The overall context of that time was an era when military technology was advancing at an incredible pace, and all strategies depended on accurate assessments and sound decisions. German tactics and industry, relying on their perceptions of the Thunderbolt, made plans based on weaknesses that, as it turned out, simply did not exist. They underestimated its capabilities, failed to understand its true potential, and consequently missed their chances to combat this new type of American fighter. The key question of that period, why the German army and industry so greatly underestimated the capabilities of the P-47 in 1943, lies precisely in their limited knowledge and mistaken evaluations. Their strategic decisions were based on false assumptions, which led to their unpreparedness for the fact that the Thunderbolt was capable not only of surviving heavy battles, but also of winning in situations that seemed hopeless to them. Their perception of technological superiority proved to be an illusion that would be shattered in the future, when the truth about the power and capabilities of the American aircraft became clear. This misconception was not just a matter of statistical errors or misunderstandings. It was a manifestation of a broader picture, a system that underestimated new technologies because of their external bulk or apparent sluggishness. Yet it was precisely in these seemingly insignificant details that the power lay, capable of changing the course of the war. And this story is not only about airplanes or combat actions. It is about how illusions and biases can blind even the most experienced and prepared. Conversely, true understanding is the key to victory, even if it comes too late. As we approach the conclusion of this phase, it is important to understand. It was this initial image, formed by underestimation, that laid the foundation for subsequent encounters. In the future, when the German command confronts the reality of the Thunderbolt's capabilities, their perception of their technological advantages will be shattered. And it is precisely this illusion, the belief in the weakness of the American fighter, that will influence the fate of the entire war. Sometimes it is the misconceptions created at the beginning that prove to be the most destructive. And this story is not only about airplanes, but about how crucial the truth is in war, often hidden behind layers of misunderstandings and biases. In November 1943, German engineers, overwhelmed by their own disappointment and confusion, faced for the first time a captured American aircraft. This aircraft, seemingly from another world, was not merely machinery. It was the embodiment of superiority, the result of a generation of advanced technologies that Germany was only beginning to understand, while in the United States, they were already being realized in metal and mechanisms. The disassembly of this aircraft, conducted in the Rechlin laboratories, became a pivotal moment for understanding how vastly different the approaches of these two worlds in aviation technology truly were. At the center of attention was a complex and unique engine, a turbocharger integrated into a system that allowed aircraft to maintain power at altitudes inaccessible to German designs. For German engineers, this was an eye-opener. They saw a sophisticated turbocharger system that, in essence, was an unprecedented engineering marvel. In their eyes, it was a blend of advanced technologies, each component reflecting the highest level of precision and innovation. But the main point was not just about this particular system. It was about the fundamental differences in approach. German technology, despite its ingenuity, faced fundamental limitations. A shortage of strategic materials, technological backwardness in high-temperature alloys, and the absence of mass production lines capable of reproducing and implementing these complex systems. Within their laboratory walls, questions arose. Why couldn't German manufacturing reach the same level as American? Why, despite their power, couldn't German aircraft fly at the same altitudes and speeds as American ones? The American engine, which formed the basis of the legendary Thunderbolt, was not just a machine. It was an engineering masterpiece. The radial engine with 18 cylinders, named R2800 Double Wasp, was not only more powerful than most of its German counterparts, it was more precise, more reliable, and used materials that the Germans could only dream of. Its construction employed cutting-edge materials, forged aluminum, sodium-cooled valves, high-precision components, all designed to increase operational lifespan, reduce weight, and boost power. These components were not just impressive words in technical documents. They were the result of complex manufacturing processes requiring strategic resources and the highest level of craftsmanship. The turbocharger mechanism, integrated into the engine system, was the key to its ability to sustain immense power at altitudes where air pressure and temperature rendered any German engine ineffective. This was technological superiority that was inaccessible in Germany. Strategic materials, high-temperature alloys, specialized aluminum and titanium alloys were in short supply. German industry could not afford to mass-produce such systems because their manufacturing technologies demanded resources and a technological level that they simply did not possess. Throughout the war, Germany struggled with shortages of strategic materials, which affected the quality and quantity of engines and aircraft produced. Inside the factories, in the workshops where these complex mechanisms were assembled, there was a noticeable lack, not only of materials but also of technological expertise. The result of this technological gap was evident. While the Americans produced over 125,000 R2800 engines and more than 96,000 combat aircraft capable of reaching unprecedented altitudes and speeds in a year, Germany could not compete on the same scale. Over the entire war, the Germans produced just over 42,000 engines and about 25,000 aircraft. These figures are not merely statistics. They reflect the scale of technological superiority, which became a strategic factor. American factories, equipped with advanced quality control systems and automation, created systems that required no compromises. Their engines exemplified precision, reliability, and power, enabling aircraft to reach new heights, overcome obstacles, and confidently dominate the skies. Such a level of engineering and technological control made mass production possible, which was unattainable in Germany. In conditions of constant resource shortages and technological limitations, creating similar systems was not only difficult, it seemed impossible. American engineers and manufacturing facilities operated on the principle of better, faster, more precise. Meanwhile, despite its achievements, German industry found itself trapped, technologically, resource-wise, and strategically. This difference in approaches, capabilities, and production scale was not merely a characteristic distinguishing the two countries. It became the reason why one side could produce powerful, high-altitude, high-speed machines, while the other could only dream of such a level. What was the essence of this technological gap? Why were the Americans able to develop systems that allowed their aircraft to fly at altitudes inaccessible to German counterparts and reach speeds Germans could not even imagine? The answer lies in scale, precision, and innovation. American engineers did not simply copy or replicate others' ideas. They set new standards, introduced advanced materials, and automated processes that made their technology more sophisticated, reliable, and powerful. Their achievements resulted not only from technological progress, but also from strategic thinking that enabled them to outpace the enemy in technical development. When analysis shows that these technological advantages played a decisive role in the course of the war, it becomes clear. The irreplaceability of these technologies for Germany was not just a technical fact. It was a crucial factor that ultimately determined the outcome of the conflict. These technologies, unreproducible and inaccessible, proved to be an irreversible advantage that neither heroism nor strategic maneuvers could compensate for. It was an invisible but powerful front of the struggle, the technological front, where victory went to those who could create systems impossible for their competitors to replicate. That is why, ultimately, these differences in approaches and capabilities became critical. The war was not only fought over territories, resources, and strategic positions. It was a battle for technological supremacy, for the future of aviation, and for the ability to dominate the skies. And American industry, armed with knowledge and innovation, proved to be ahead. This is not just a fact. It is a historical lesson showing that technological superiority is not only about better machines. It is about the power that determines the outcome of a battle. Ultimately, this was the main difference that led to victory on one side and defeat on the other. In the fog of early morning hours, when the first rays of the sun barely pierced through the clouds, fierce battles began in the sky, where the fate of the global conflict was decided not only by strategic maneuvers, but primarily by the technology behind each aircraft, each salvo, and each surviving pilot. At the heart of this mechanism were American weapon, defense, and maintenance systems, superior to German counterparts in every parameter, creating an invisible but perceptible boundary between victory and defeat. These advantages, often unseen by the enemy's eyes, became decisive in bloody aerial clashes, shifting the balance of power in the sky and ultimately determining the outcome of the war. Let us first look at the core of the American air fleet, the armament that impressed with its power and reliability. In the cockpits of American fighters were 8 heavy 50-caliber Browning M2 machine guns. Their barrels, like steel claws, were ready at any moment to unleash a stream of fire. Each was loaded with a magazine holding 4,500 rounds, 1.5 times more than what was typically provided to German aircraft, which were armed with fewer weapons and had a smaller ammunition supply. This fact, seemingly minor, was decisive in battle. Imagine, within seconds, with synchronized firing, these machine guns could unleash a staggering stream of lead toward the enemy, creating a fiery curtain that closed in around the German planes, like an iron hand squeezing them from within. The duration of continuous fire at full capacity was about 20 seconds, and in those moments, as if in a fog, the enemy's hopes of survival vanished. Every time an American pilot pressed the trigger, he became part of a powerful, almost unstoppable flow of fire that destroyed not only the enemy's fuselage, but also his morale. But what made these guns particularly dangerous? Not only their firepower, the evidence and testimonies are irrefutable. American Browning M2 machine guns were known for their high reliability. In intense combat conditions, under constant stress, they did not jam or fail. Such incidents were exceptions, not the rule. Unlike German systems, which often suffered from depletion of strategic materials, such as titanium and high-quality alloys, American machine guns maintained their functionality even when it seemed the entire world was against them. These systems embodied not only technical superiority, but also engineering craftsmanship that ensured their long service life and operational capability in the most extreme conditions. They did not let their users down, neither in battle nor in maintenance. And what about pilot protection? The virtuosity of American design was evident here as well. The crew was surrounded by heavy armor capable of withstanding hits from even large caliber shells. The cockpit glass was bulletproof, and the protective systems were reliable and time-tested. The pilot felt as if inside an armored shell, protected from deadly shrapnel and bullets, significantly increasing his chances of survival after the aircraft was damaged. While German aircraft like the FW-190 were also armored, their weight was considerably lighter to preserve speed and maneuverability. However, this meant reduced protective qualities, and German pilots, despite their agility, often found themselves more vulnerable, especially when their systems sustained damage. Furthermore, American aircraft design prioritized maximum accessibility for maintenance. Large panels, quick-release fasteners, a well-thought-out quick-access system to key components. All of this allowed field crews to rapidly replace engines, repair systems, and fix malfunctions. In the harsh conditions of war, where every minute of downtime could cost lives, such accessibility became a critical factor. Witness how mechanics armed only with basic tools could replace a damaged engine or restore armament systems in a matter of minutes. This was not merely convenience. It was the key to maintaining the combat readiness of the entire aviation strategy, which relied on high mobilization and rapid response. But the question arises, why did all these systems turn out to be more effective, more reliable, and more durable? How were American engineers and designers able to surpass the Germans, whose aircraft seemed lighter and more maneuverable? Why did American weapon and protection systems play a decisive role in air combat? This question lies at the heart of the entire story. What is the secret of their success? What hidden systemic advantage made the American aviation sector seemingly invincible in the eyes of the enemy? The answer lies not only in technical details, it is a strategy, an approach to design, a rejection of compromises, and a pursuit of absolute perfection. These systems were not created for show or luxury. They were designed for war, for a conflict in which every second, every hit, and every moment of a pilot's life mattered. And it was this systemic superiority, its mass production, versatility, and reliability that turned American aircraft into an almost invulnerable force. In certain combat modes with the right tactics, these systems made American aviation virtually unstoppable, undermining the combat effectiveness of German pilots and significantly reducing their victories. And this difference left no room for chance. It was fundamental, systemic, and core. The very essence of their superiority lay in how American weapons and defense systems were created, in their reliability and accessibility. And ultimately, it was this superiority that played a decisive role in determining the outcome of air battles. These systems embodied not just power, they contained a future, one that, despite all difficulties, favored the force that understood. Victory is not only about tactics, but also about technology. And in this technology lay the crucial difference between survival and disappearance. At the moment when the world plunged into the chaos of war, when the destinies of millions were decided on battlefields and in strategists' offices, one truth became clear to those who carefully analyzed what was happening. American industrial might became not just a factor, but the main weapon in the fight for victory. During the years when Germany seemingly reached the peak of technological and tactical development, when its engineers and designers created advanced equipment models, something else was happening in America, something large-scale, systemic, elusive to the enemy. It was not just an increase in production or technological innovation, but a whole strategy turned into a mechanism that rendered German tactics and technology outdated and useless. At the dawn of 1944, when air battles reached new heights and the intensity of combat sorties increased month by month, American industry confidently demonstrated its strength. Annual aircraft production exceeded 96,000 units, more than 4 times the output of German factories. These figures spoke for themselves. American factories were not just working. They operated like well-tuned mechanisms aimed at mass reproduction. Where German aircraft were assembled in batches, with breaks and limitations, American lines were continuous flows, assembly lines, automated and standardized, moving in a sequence where each element, each rifle, Each engine passed through a single control point to ensure consistent quality and speed. The technological revolution in American industry was reflected in the use of automated lines, where robots and automatic machines performed work faster, more accurately, and without quality loss. This approach to mass production was not only more efficient, but also more resilient to disruptions. Unlike German factories, which often suffered from fragmentation and batch processing, American plants operated on assembly lines, creating an unprecedented flow of products. This allowed for increased output while maintaining high standards, which was critically important during wartime, when each unit of armament could be the last and decisive. But the power of production was only one side of the coin. The second was materials. Aluminum, which was the main component of most American aircraft, was produced in enormous quantities. Its quality remained high, and strategic reserves allowed avoiding shortages that frequently plagued German industry. The Germans, forced to fight not only on the front but also in the rear, suffered from a lack of essential materials and strategic infrastructure. Their factories were constantly subjected to Allied bombing, which destroyed production chains and reduced overall capacity to reproduce equipment. Strategic bombings, often referred to by Germans as bombings that destroy the future, effectively crippled their industry, making it impossible to replenish losses or expand production. While German factories struggled for every part, American industry operated like a well-trained organism. Fuel supplies, ammunition, spare parts flowed almost without interruption. Their logistical system was a true art, based on large-scale transportation, reliable routes, and precise coordination. American ships, cargo planes, and railroads worked as a unified entity, providing the front with everything necessary. At the same time, German logistics proved disorganized and vulnerable. Constant bombings and infrastructure destruction undermined their ability to supply troops and equipment quickly and efficiently. This combination of factors, industrial superiority, automated lines, strategic materials, and flawless logistics, created an undeniable edge. In combat conditions where every day and every decision could lead to victory or defeat, this technological and industrial advantage became decisive. It rendered any tactical or engineering gains by Germany temporary, unstable, and ultimately useless. German equipment could be cutting-edge, their strategic ideas innovative, but without a reliable reproduction system, large reserves, and uninterrupted logistics, all of this turned to dust beneath the feet of American tanks and aircraft. And here arises the main question. How was the systematic industrial superiority of the USA able to secure victory in the war? How was it possible that all of Germany's tactical and technological advantages, even the most impressive, were absorbed by the overwhelming flow of American resources? Part 10 of 16. The analysis shows that this was not about random successes or isolated inventions. It was the result of a strategy that exceeded all expectations. America created an entire industrial system that functioned not merely as a mechanism, but as a giant organism capable of adapting, scaling, and dominating. It was not just about production or logistics. It was a systemic strategy that overshadowed any tactical or engineering advantages of Germany. This was the very essence of it. This is the main lesson of history that many forget or underestimate. America's victory in the war was not only about combat operations or heroic acts. It was about systemic superiority that rendered any enemy efforts useless. And it was precisely this strategic systemic approach that declared war not only on the battlefield, but also in the rear, at the level of technology, production, and logistics. This superiority was not the result of random decisions or isolated innovations. It was the product of systemic thinking, strategic foresight, and an incredible capacity for large-scale mobilization of resources. Such an approach was not merely an engineering or technological victory. It was the apotheosis of systemic strategy, which ultimately determined the outcome of the war. And perhaps the most important lesson lies in this. To win a war, it is not enough to have the best technology or tactics. It is essential to create a system that makes any enemy effort futile. American industrial superiority was precisely such a system, and it undoubtedly became a key factor that led to the final victory. In the shadow of Europe's shattered sky, during those dark years when the fate of the continent hung in the balance, and the outcome of battles was decided not only on the front lines, but also at drafting tables and in secret laboratories, the German military machine faced the harsh reality of Allied technological superiority. In this world of machines and metal, where every rifle and engine could be decisive, German engineers and pilots, blinded by the illusion of their own strength, began to carefully examine captured American aircraft. Their eyes sought not only weaknesses, but also the keys to victory, the possibility of crushing those who seemed invincible. And it was precisely in these studies, in the details, in the tiniest nuances, that the picture emerged, which would become both a curse and a harbinger of downfall. During the final years of the war, when the fate of the world was decided in air battles and strategic raids, German specialists systematically collected and analyzed every captured American aircraft. These were not just materials for study, they were treasures of information, precious evidence of the technological might of the Allies. They examined numerous samples, among which the famous P-47, P-51, and P-38 stood out. Not just fighters, but symbols of superiority, embodiments of engineering thought, the driving force of Allied strategic aviation. These machines, like living witnesses of their era, told stories about themselves, revealing their secrets. German engineers, sitting at their desks, scrutinized schematics, engine details, armament systems, wing and fuselage designs. And what did they discover? That all systems, all components, from the engine to the armament, were built with the utmost precision, without compromises or concessions. They were created using the best materials available in 1933, an era when there were no restrictions caused by war, when technology was advancing rapidly, and resources, despite difficulties, were at the disposal of American industry. Analysis showed that all these systems exceeded the quality and reliability of their German counterparts. German engineers, examining the designs, saw not just superiority, but a technological gap that could not be bridged. American engines, such as the famous Merlin, possessed power unavailable to German engines, despite all their attempts to reproduce and improve their own models. American electronics, navigation systems, and onboard instruments demonstrated not only technological superiority, but also strategic planning, meticulously thought out. Engineers noted that even with resource constraints limiting American industry, their systems remained out of reach for German designers. And here begins the main paradox. The analysis of American aircraft confirmed, essentially, their superiority. The evidence and proof were irrefutable, but it was precisely this understanding, this clarity, that turned into a sharp, almost painful question. Why, knowing all this, did Germany fail to overcome its industrial weaknesses? Why, despite precise knowledge of the technologies, was it unable to create its own systems capable of competing? Why, despite all efforts and knowledge, could German industry not reproduce even a small part of American technological superiority? The answer was simple and at the same time harsh, because knowledge and understanding of technologies are not equivalent to the ability to reproduce and scale them. After all, by the end of the war, when German industry was on the brink of collapse and strategic materials such as titanium, high-quality aluminum, rare earth elements became scarce, it became clear. All this knowledge, all these discoveries could not form the basis for mass production. The question arose, could Germany, despite all its knowledge and research, its technologies, fully realize them under resource constraints, amidst constant bombings and destruction? A question that had no simple answer, for in the strategic game, where not only technology, but also industrial power matters, Germany found itself in a losing position. Her assessments, based on the study of captured samples, confirmed that the Allies' superiority was not only in numbers and tactics, but also in the depth of their industrial base, which set the parameters of what was possible. In the end, all these facts, evaluations, and pieces of evidence were not just numbers and diagrams. They were a vivid confirmation that Germany's defeat was predetermined, not only by political decisions or strategic mistakes, but also by the very structure of its industrial capabilities. In other words, the systemic difference in industrial base, production capacity, and available resources ultimately determined the outcome of the struggle. German assessments confirmed that their technological weakness and inability to scale up developments became the nail in the coffin of their defeat. And all this picture, this grim truth, was not just analysis, it was a signal, a warning that no one heard in time. Finally, when the war was at its last breath and hope for victory still seemed possible, the German understanding of American systems became a symbol not only of the technological victories of the Allies, but also of their strategic superiority. The evidence was irrefutable. The superiority was not only in diagrams and blueprints, but also in their industrial power, in their ability to produce millions of machines capable of changing the course of the war. And Germany, despite its knowledge, could not overcome the chasm that separated their capabilities. Because knowledge is not capability, it is only part of the equation. And ultimately, this truth became the key to understanding the full picture of their hopelessness. During World War II, when the fate of the world hung in the balance and every minute could be the last for millions, one of the most important factors determining the outcome of the conflict was not only the skill of military commanders or strategic decisions on the battlefield. No, the main weapon that decided the fate of millions was the unconditional power of the industrial machine standing behind the armies. And it was precisely this, scale, efficiency, and automation of American industry, that became the crucial factor making any tactical or technological advantages of Germany practically strategically useless. Let us delve into an era when quantity mattered. In 1944, the United States produced over 70,000 aircraft. This number includes not only combat fighters, bombers, and reconnaissance planes, but also numerous auxiliary models. Among this total, special aircraft, Thunderbolts, numbering over 16,000, became a symbol of American might. At the same time, German aircraft manufacturing, though distinguished by some technological achievements, could not boast such scale. The production of German aircraft was shrinking under the blows of bombing raids, and due to a shortage of materials and destroyed infrastructure, German factories deteriorated, becoming increasingly less capable of competing in volume and production speed. Behind this figure lay a complex and rigid system: centralized manufacturing lines, automated assembly lines, and component standardization. In the United States, factories were true industrial complexes, where every part, every screw, every pipe underwent strict control, assembled on automated lines like conveyor belts that knew no fatigue or errors. These factories, located across the country, operated around the clock, continuously expanding and modernizing. Unlike Germany, where bombings, material shortages, and outdated methods reduced production efficiency, American plants continued to grow, increasing output and refining technological processes. The steel giants and aluminum plants of the United States, equipped with the latest automated lines, supplied materials, endless tons of metals, sapphire crystals for optics, without interruptions or compromises in quality. This unconditional abundance and standardization allowed Americans to produce weapons and equipment on unprecedented scales, making it impossible for Germany to catch up in quantity. Despite heroic efforts, German industry could not avoid the destruction caused by Allied bombings. As a result, factories that once competed in quality now found themselves in a state of degradation and obsolescence. Their production capacities were reduced, and their technological level declined. Meanwhile, American factories equipped with automated lines were constantly being updated and expanded, while German enterprises faced shortages of materials, outdated technologies, and destroyed infrastructure. But the most crucial weapon ensuring U.S. industrial superiority was logistics. Time was the main enemy of any war. However, the American logistical system, built on unprecedented centralized organization, provided continuous supplies of ammunition, fuel, spare parts, and components. Massive cargo ships, railroads, and warehouse bases, all were subordinate to one goal: maintaining a steady flow of resources to the front lines to prevent production stoppages or a decline in combat readiness. And this was not just a matter of supplies. It was a question of strategic resilience, which allowed American troops not only to maintain morale, but also to constantly build up their forces, surpassing the enemy not only in numbers, but also in quality. It was this unprecedented organization, volume, and automation of American industry that created the very industrial advantage that was impossible for anyone else to match. The American industry did more than just produce equipment. It created it as a machine that knew no fatigue, was resistant to destruction, and capable of continuous growth. As a result, American forces possessed not only numerical superiority, but also strategic invincibility, which called into question any tactical advantages Germany might have had. Despite their achievements, technologies became meaningless in the face of the power of the industrial system, which could supply millions of units of armament without interruption and carried within itself strength and reliability inaccessible to an enemy exhausted by war and destruction. Ultimately, the question was not simply who shot better or who flew faster. The most important factor was the scale and quality of the industrial base supporting every division, every aircraft, and every bullet. This base, built on automated lines, centralized logistics, and unwavering strategic determination, became an insurmountable barrier to any German tactic, technological trick, or tactical advantage. It was this systemic industrial superiority that determined the outcome of the war. Not a single technology, nor victory in one battle, but the scale, automation, and efficiency of production made any German trump card strategically useless. In this relentless game, scale surpassed all expectations, leaving Germany in the shadow of its own technology and shattered industry. In the dark halls of military history, where every event leaves an indelible mark, the most important lessons often lie not in bright technological innovations, but in the systems that produce and support them. And it is these lessons, hidden behind captured American aircraft, that gained particular relevance in understanding modern warfare. The sight of damaged wings left behind after the capture of aircraft like the Rogers, Mogo, and Thunderbolt all testify that American strategy was not built solely on a single revolutionary technology, but on a complex, multi-layered system that combined engineering mastery, mass production, and impeccable logistics. These facts, not just numbers in documents or details of technical specifications, are keys to understanding why American aviation dominated during World War II and why this systemic strength proved decisive for victory. When we examine the captured aircraft, we see clear evidence. American industry operated as a unified whole, like a complex organism capable of rapid improvements, large-scale mobilization of resources, and organized supply chains. Despite their technical features, these aircraft demonstrate that success does not rest on one or several revolutionary technologies, but on the entire system's ability to produce, maintain, and operate these technologies on a massive scale. It is common to hear discussions about who created the best engine or wing, but real evidence points to something else. America's success was achieved precisely through systematic organization that ensured mass production of aircraft, logistical support, and rapid implementation of new solutions. For the Germans, faced with this industrial giant, it was obvious that reproducing such a system on a war-ravaged territory was impossible. Italian, Japanese, or even German industries, despite some technological achievements, could not compare in scale and efficiency to the American one. Primarily because their resources were depleted, infrastructure was destroyed, and mobilization mechanisms were significantly less developed. As a result, Even with excellent engineers and technologies, they could not provide the level of mass production that was natural for the Americans. The facts speak for themselves. While American industry produced hundreds of aircraft per month, Germany had to fight for each unit, and its aviation was limited in its capacity for large-scale operations. This difference is not just a technical issue, but a strategic one. The overall assessment shows that industrial superiority is the key to victory in modern warfare. It is precisely the ability to produce, supply, and maintain vast armies and air forces that proved decisive. Without large-scale manufacturing capacities, even the most advanced technologies become strategically useless toys if they cannot be mass-produced and operated effectively at the front. This is the main lesson. Victory is achieved not only through revolutionary developments, but through systematic organization and logistics that allow surpassing the enemy in scale and speed. Modern conflicts undeniably confirm this. In an era of a globalized military industry, where technology develops rapidly and new weapons systems appear almost daily, the importance of a systematic approach becomes clear. The winner is not the one who created the most advanced weapon, but the one capable of producing it in enormous quantities, supporting it, and quickly deploying it in combat. Logistics, infrastructure, and production chains all become decisive factors that can outweigh any tactical advantages. The history of captured aircraft is a vivid confirmation of this fact. They illustrate that victory is achieved not only through technology, but also through the ability to mass produce, support, and operate it. Ultimately, it is the mass scale that holds the power capable of changing the course of a war. Every detail, every improvement, every addition becomes part of a vast system capable of ensuring dominance, not only on the battlefield, but overall in the war. In light of these facts, the main question arises: how can the lessons of German engineers regarding the superiority of the American industrial system be applied to modern military strategies? Today, when technological advancements occur at a lightning-fast pace and information systems and cyber weapons become an integral part of combat, the importance of systematic organization does not diminish. On the contrary, it gains new relevance, because without large-scale production capacities, efficient logistics, and the ability to rapidly implement innovations, even the most advanced technologies remain strategically useless. The ultimate conclusion is that in the era of modern warfare, victory is determined not only by the presence of cutting-edge technologies, but also by a country's ability to produce them on a massive scale and sustain their operation throughout the war. This is the true strength that can ensure superiority, even if the opponent possesses more advanced weaponry. And this lesson, drawn from the history of captured aircraft and a destroyed industrial system, remains relevant today. Ultimately, success in any war is not only a battle of technologies, but a battle of systems, scales, and the capacity to support them endlessly. A systematic approach to military industry and logistics is what determines the outcome of modern conflicts. It becomes that invisible force that sustains and enhances combat power, making it resilient and invincible. This is a lesson from the past that must serve as a beacon for the future. For in a world where technology develops rapidly, the ability to produce and maintain it on scales beyond imagination becomes the key to victory.